Hello and welcome to the webinar. My name is Chuck Anderson. I'm the search engine marketing expert here with the Internet Marketing Center. And today's topic is why I should promote my business with PPC. And PPC, of course, stands for pay-per-click advertising, which is all about driving instant traffic to your online business. So here's what I'll be covering with you in this webinar today. First of all, we'll be giving you an overview of pay-per-click marketing and how to implement that strategy in your online business. We'll be discussing the pros and cons of using pay-per-click compared to other promotional methods. Some that cost money, some that don't cost money. So where does this fit into your overall marketing strategy? We'll talk about sources of pay-per-click advertising opportunities, places where you can get instant traffic to your online business with the pay-per-click model. We'll discuss some do's and don'ts of pay-per-click marketing, the things that's going to save you money in your campaigns, other things that will cost you money if you do them incorrectly. Also, I'm going to talk about when to use pay-per-click, and there are times when not to use pay-per-click. So there's times where it'll really help you in your marketing efforts and times where you may want to use a different strategy, just so you can understand a little bit more about how to use this. I'm also going to talk about how to write great pay-per-click ads for getting the maximum exposure. This is going to help you keep your costs low and your click-throughs and the traffic to your websites as high as possible. And since this is a pay-per-click model, controlling budgets so that you're spending the least amount of money on your campaigns but getting the most out of it, and controlling your cost per click spending. Also talk about how to track and measure your results for maximum return on investment. And that's one of the very nice things about pay-per-click, is that it's extremely measurable. And I'll be showing you how that works today. Talk about setting up your first campaign, getting that underway, starting to drive some instant traffic to your online business. And we'll wind up today with some long-term and short-term pay-per-click strategies that you can begin to use right away in your online business. So first of all, what is PPC and why use it as a promotion strategy for your online business? So first of all, like I said at the top of the webinar, PPC stands for pay per click. So this is obviously a paid advertising model. So where you're basically paying for traffic to visit your website for your online business, and you're paying a certain amount per click. This is a performance-based advertising. So you only pay when somebody clicks on your ad and actually visits your website. So your ad could run all day long on the search engines, and if nobody clicks on it, it costs you nothing. You only pay when somebody clicks on your ad and actually visits your website. And one of the best reasons to use pay-per-click is because it's a great source of instant traffic. You can literally set up a pay-per-click campaign today and within an hour or two be receiving targeted traffic to your website and to promote your online business. And because it's keyword based, you're only bidding on the keywords that represent your best target audience, the people who are most likely to buy your products and services. And because it is a pay-per-click model, and because you're only basing it on a very specific list of target keywords, it is a very highly measurable and trackable way of promoting your business. So literally, you will end up with reports that show you how many clicks you received from which keywords and how did those convert into opt-in subscribers into your mailing list and into paid customers of your product. And you will be able to calculate very, very accurately your ROI, or your return on investment. You will know what your return is for every dollar spent on pay-per-click advertising, how much profit are you earning in return? So it makes it a very good strategy for again, having that highly measurable way of promoting your business. It's great for testing or launching new campaigns because you can get a campaign up and running so quickly. And like I said, you can literally start receiving traffic the day you put your pay-per-click campaign in place, and be testing your offer and measuring your conversion rates for your opt-in offer and your product offer, so that you can prove your sales model, get some early results, and then continue on with other promotional methods as a way of driving even more traffic. But it's a great way to get a campaign started because you can get it started in a day. So let's compare pay-per-click advertising with what we consider to be the most common alternative to driving traffic to your website, which would be SEO, in other words, search engine optimization, which for the most part is considered by people to be a free method of promotion. And what they really mean by that is that the traffic is free. In other words, you're not paying per click. Now, with search engine optimization, it can take time and effort, so I wouldn't necessarily call it a free strategy of promoting your website. It does take time and effort, but you are not paying per click for your traffic, so that is the big distinction, the big difference between pay-per-click and SEO. Now, some of the other things to consider here are, on the pay-per-click side, the traffic and promotion of your website is immediate. Like I was saying just a minute ago, you can literally be receiving visitors to your online business the day you put a pay-per-click campaign in place. It happens that quickly. Now, with search engine optimization, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You're relying on the search engines such as Google and Yahoo and Bing to come around, look at your website, compare it with all the other websites in its index, decide if it should rank in the top 10, the top 20, or lower down in a lot of cases. And it can take time to get favorable rankings that is going to bring traffic to your website. So pay-per-click is great when you want that immediate burst of traffic, so you can test an offer, kind of prove things out, and then you can spend the time on your SEO side to drive traffic from those keywords a little bit later on. Now, with pay-per-click, the way it's set up, and because it's a performance-based model of advertising, it is extremely measurable. And I was also mentioning this earlier, you're going to get reports that are going to show you which keywords gave you how many visits to your website, and how many of those visits and from which keywords actually converted into subscribers to your mailing list and became paying customers of your product. And you're going to be able to calculate your exact return on investment for that advertising. Now, with search engine optimization, it is extremely difficult to track. And mainly because you are not in control of the exact keyword phrases that Google and the other search engines use to list your website. You can make your best efforts to optimize your pages and your website for certain search terms and for certain keyword phrases. And sometimes you'll hit it perfectly, and other times you will not rank for the exact term that you were targeting, but for some variation of that. And that may or may not convert quite as well. And it's very difficult to know because, again, it's hard to track. You're not going to be able to draw that straight line from what keyword did the visitor use to visit your website, and did that visit convert into an opt-in subscriber or a paid customer. Where with pay-per-click, it will tell you exactly if that happened or not. So how you use this information is you use pay-per-click to, again, prove the keyword as a target audience and to present your offers to them and track your conversion rates. And once you know that, then you can safely spend effort optimizing that keyword phrase on the SEO side to get some organic traffic from that keyword as well. Now, on the pay-per-click side, because it's a pay-per-click model, it costs money. And with the SEO side, a lot of people consider it to be free traffic. And that really is incorrect, because with SEO, it costs time and effort. So there is a cost associated with SEO, with organic traffic. It is not free. Now, people call it free traffic, again, because you are not paying for the individual clicks. You're not paying for the individual visits. But you are spending time to make that work and to drive traffic through SEO. So there is a cost associated with both strategies, with both pay-per-click and SEO. Now, where this is valuable information is, again, using pay-per-click to prove your business model, to get those initial results. And then once you're getting great results with the keywords and the offers that you're working with, then you can safely spend that time and that effort on your SEO and your search engine optimization to drive organic traffic. Now, with pay-per-click, it's extremely easy to control. You can control your budgets. You can control your cost per click in terms of bids. And you get to set the price that you want to pay per click for each visitor that visits your website. And at any time and in real time, you can go into your pay-per-click account and you can edit the budgets. You can edit the cost per click settings for each keyword, for each ad, for each campaign. You can even target specific countries and territories. So you can choose to run your pay-per-click campaign to the entire world, or just to a specific country, or just a specific part of a country. You can even run a pay-per-click campaign down to a street address. It is that easy to control, and especially with the Google AdWords program, it just gives you so many different ways of controlling your target reach, including demographics. So it's very, very, very easy to control. Now with SEO, you just don't know who is on the other end of that visit. It could be your perfect target audience, or it could be little kids just sort of playing around on their parents' computer. You don't really know, and you don't really have that control. And also, you don't necessarily know what countries those clicks are going to come from. So that's within the search engine's control. You have absolutely no control over that. All you can do is, optimize your website for certain keywords and hope for the best. So on the pay-per-click side, you can really prove out your business model by controlling your target audience and how they are entering your website, and then use that information to do your best to optimize your website on the SEO side for your organic traffic. And hopefully the message that you are hearing here, and the big tip that I want to get across here, is that you can use a pay-per-click campaign to prove your keyword targeting before spending a lot of time and money and effort on your search engine optimization to get your organic traffic. So it's going to get you those instant results, that instant feedback that you need to know. That's going to tell you whether or not your campaign is working and whether or not it is worth the effort to put into your search engine optimization and to start driving organic traffic to your online business. So now when it comes to using pay-per-click as a promotion strategy, there are some specific pros and cons that you want to consider. And first of all, let's talk about the pros. The first pro I would think about is that a pay-per-click campaign is highly measurable, and it will give you that very specific return on investment calculation, knowing exactly what each keyword costs and how that keyword converts into subscribers to your opt-in list and paid customers, and you can calculate your return. How much revenue are you generating for each dollar spent on pay-per-click advertising? It's extremely important to know that metric so that you know if you're actually making profit or not, and a pay-per-click campaign will absolutely give you that calculation. A pay-per-click campaign is great for generating instant traffic. And we talked about the comparison between using a pay-per-click strategy versus using a search engine optimization strategy, and how a pay-per-click campaign will drive instant traffic compared to the organic methods of promotion through some search engine optimization activities. And a pay-per-click campaign allows you to choose the specific keywords and search terms that are best suited for your campaign, that are most likely to bring in your specific target audience, and the ones that are most likely to join your mailing list and buy your products. And you're going to ignore the rest of the keywords and only focus on the ones that produce opt-in subscribers and produce sales of your products. So that is a huge pro. It gives you a lot of control and a lot of measurability on how your campaign is operating and if you're actually making profit on your campaign. Now, on the con side, some things to consider is that it only generates traffic to your website if you continue to pay. This is a cost per click model. So as long as you have a budget for pay-per-click traffic, your ads will continue to run and it will cost you money. Now, because there are other websites out there competing for the same traffic, so some of your competitors may also be running pay-per-click campaigns to the same search terms, it can drive the costs up because it's a bid model. So you're placing a certain bid per click, you're controlling that cost, and in a lot of cases, highest bidder does win. There is more to it than that, which we'll get into. But the more competition you have competing for the same search terms, it drives the cost per click up. So it's definitely something to consider, and it can become expensive if that's not managed and monitored. So the other thing to consider here is that because these are paid ads, the search engines do display them and identify these listings as being sponsored listings or pay-per-click ads. So people do know that those are paid advertisements. And people who are savvy to this and prefer to click on the organic listings may choose to ignore the sponsored listings and may not click on your ads. And that's something that's really not within our control. So it doesn't target everybody. It definitely does bring traffic into your website, but know that some people choose not to look at pay-per-click ads. So you're not going to be able to reach everyone that is searching your particular search words. Okay, so to give you a good example of just how pay-per-click advertising works, let's say we're doing a Google search. Let's say somebody's looking to improve their golf swing. So we'll search for improve golf swing, and the results come up. Now, these top three are going to be your sponsored links. You're also going to have sponsored links along the right-hand side. As you can see, Google clearly identifies them as sponsored links, and savvy searchers do realize that these are paid advertisements. Again, they may choose to ignore them because they know they're paid ads. But if something catches their attention, they are likely to click on it. So it is a good source of targeting people and getting them to your website. The nice thing about pay-per-click and sponsored links is that they come first. They appear before the organic search results, which are these results right here, down the middle of the page. So most people spend their time and their effort on search engine optimization, chasing what they consider to be the free traffic. But pay-per-click is simply a pay-for-performance model, and your ad will instantly show up either here in the top sponsored results or along this right-hand column, which are also part of the same pay-per-click ads or sponsored listings. Okay, so you want to get your first pay-per-click advertising campaign up and running. Where should you go? Well, there's some very specific sources of pay-per-click advertising campaigns that you can start to use immediately. The first one, and probably the most important one that you want to know about, is the Google AdWords program. This is going to put your advertisement on the Google search engine, across their content network, and across their search partner network. We'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment, but they have by far the largest reach of any of the pay-per-click search engines. It's also one of the easiest to set up, and you can literally be running within an hour or two. And relatively easy to follow series of forms to fill out that's going to ask you for your target keywords, the address for your website, what ad copy you want to run, what is your cost per click that you want to have, what's your daily budget, and some of the geographic or demographic targeting parameters that are going to affect the target audience. And by following the step-by-steps that they guide you through, you can get a campaign up and running very, very quickly. Now, like I said, the largest search volume is going to be here with the Google search engine. So it's great for those of you who are setting up a pay-per-click campaign for the first time. Usually what we recommend to clients is start with the Google AdWords program, get some experience, do some testing in your campaign, and get it fine-tuned. Once it is working for you, you can start to roll it out to the other networks such as Yahoo Advertising. And the Yahoo Advertising program is similar to the Google AdWords program, only this puts your ads on the Yahoo search engine, their content partners, and other Yahoo web properties. You also want to roll out your campaign to the Microsoft Advertising Ad Center, which is going to put you on the Bing search engine, and your ads will show up on the Bing search engine and their content network as well. Here's a great resource for expanding your pay-per-click campaign even further. So once you've hit the big three networks, the Google AdWords program, the Yahoo Advertising program, and Microsoft Ad Center, you might want to check out a website such as this one. This is pay-per-click-search-engines.com. They have probably one of the most complete directory listings of pay-per-click search engines and sources of pay-per-click advertising. It's where we go, it's where our clients go when they want to find additional sources of pay-per-click advertising. It's very easy to navigate, find additional sources of pay-per-click advertising, and other information pertaining to pay-per-click campaigns. So once you have your pay-per-click campaign up and running, it's important to understand how the search engines display your ads. Now, as I've explained a number of times throughout this webinar, pay-per-click campaigns are a cost per click system. And ads are displayed based on the amount of money per click you are willing to spend. So you're placing a bid. That bid might be 5 cents, 10 cents, 50 cents, $1, whatever you can afford to spend to get a visitor to your website. Now, your competitors are also bidding per click, and so there's competition there. Now, the early pay-per-click campaigns were ranked solely on bid. So the highest bidder wins. So the more money you were willing to throw at a campaign at a single click, that would launch your ad up to the top of the search engines. And that worked for a while, but after a while, Google realized and the other search engines realized that the quality of the ads just wasn't what they wanted them to be. And so they added this extra criteria of click-through rate. And what a click-through rate is if you look at the number of times your ad has been displayed versus the number of times that it has been clicked on by people who have seen that ad, Google determines a click-through rate in terms of a percentage. So that click-through rate might be 1%, 2%, or very low. Maybe it's less than 1%. So depending on what that click-through rate is, And we'll talk about what a good click-through rate is a little bit later. But Google's going to look at your click-through rate and your cost per click, and then they're going to rank it based on the best performing ad. And so it's going to look at your ad, what you're paying per click and what your click-through rate is, and it's going to compare that to the cost per click and the click-through rate of your competitors. And basically, it's going to be the ad that produces the most clicks for the best relative cost per click, basically what is going to generate them the most revenue, and then they're going to rank the ads based on performance. So it gives you an incentive to create very effective ads. So the more effective your advertisement is in getting people to click through, the better your ad performance is, and you'll actually be able to outrank your competitors even if you're bidding a lower cost per click bid than what they're bidding. So that's a very exciting part of pay-per-click. It allows you to control your costs by simply writing better ads. So first of all, that's what's important to understand, is that is how your ads are displayed and ranked within the sponsored listing system. Now, the other big part of this is the keywords that you are targeting. And so you are in control of the specific keyword list or search term list that you are targeting for your specific ad. And you're going to supply this list to the pay-per-click network, whether it be Google, Yahoo, MSN, or any of the others. And there are different ways of matching that ad with the keyword searches that the searchers are typing into the search engine. So here are the basic match types. The first match type is what we call a broad match. And a broad match is going to show your ad for all queries that contain that search term, including all queries that are similar to that search term. So, for example, Google will look at your keyword phrase, maybe it's improve golf swing, and it will also show your ad for anything it considers to be relevant to improve golf swing. And it can match that based on the word improve or the word golf or the word swing, which in some cases will get you relevant traffic, but in other cases it might not. The word swing won't always bring you traffic relevant to the word golf. Neither will the word improve. Those three words together hopefully will, but in a broad match situation, any combination of those words can bring visitors to your website. So it's not always the best way to get your target audience. So there are other match types that you can consider, such as phrase match. And a phrase match is any query that includes your keyword phrase. So if your keyword phrase is improve golf swing, then this is going to include all queries that include the words improve golf swing. There may be words that were added to the beginning of that search or maybe to the end of that search, but as long as the words improve golf swing appear in that order somewhere in the search query, then your ad will show. You can take that one step further and do what's called an exact match. An exact match is a query that precisely matches the search term or phrase that you are targeting. So in this case, if we're targeting improve golf swing, the ad will only show if the person typed in improve golf swing without any other words attached to it. So it is an exact match on the search query. So that's going to get you your most precise target traffic. It's also going to reduce the amount of search volume. So in a lot of cases, you want to test all three of these and look at the conversion rate for each one and decide what your best target audience is. So with broad match, you're going to get your highest volume of clicks and visits to your website, but they might not convert as well. So you might want to fine tune that into phrase or exact match. Phrase is going to be a lot more targeted than broad. You're going to get your least amount of traffic by using exact, but it's going to be more precise. So, the right approach is to test all three, track your results, and decide which one is working best for you. And as an extra fine-tuning measure, you can use what's called a negative match. And a negative match is something that can be added to a broad or a phrase or an exact that can prevent your ads from showing for certain keywords. And that, again, especially useful when you're running broad match keywords. So if you're running the query improve golf swing and you want to make sure that Google doesn't start showing your ads for baby swing or, improve self-esteem or, some other match on the words improve or swing. So you can start to add all these negative keywords in there to just keep the search relevant to the context of golf. And it's a lot more work to do that, but it is a extremely powerful way of fine-tuning a pay-per-click campaign to ensure you're only receiving the clicks from search terms that you want to be receiving and that are the best target audience for buying your products. In addition to the different match types, you can also choose to show your ad on different parts of the pay-per-click advertising network. And especially with the Google AdWords program, there are 3 different networks that your ad's going to appear on. And the first one is the search engine itself. So these are the Google search results. So this is anytime somebody goes to the Google search engine, types in a search query, gets some results, and those sponsored listings are going to show up either on the top or the right-hand side of those results. So this is the Google search results, and it's based on the specific keyword phrase that was typed in to that search. Now, as an extension of that, there are also the search partners. Now, this is going to include other Google properties such as Google Maps, Google Product Search, Google Groups. It also includes their strategic partners such as Virgin Media, Amazon.com, America Online, and a whole other number of search engines. So your ad becomes syndicated out to these other web properties and other partner search engines. And then there's also the content network. And Google has a whole network of content partners, which are basically other websites. So rather than being based on search results, your ads begin to show on other websites. Some common websites out there that you will see your ads on are some of the ones that you see here, and a whole lot of others. In fact, the Google Content Network has an extremely wide reach, and you can find ads by Google on almost any website out there that you're searching. It's got a very large reach. You do not have to look very hard usually to find Google ads displayed on other websites, blogs, news sites, and all sorts of other types of websites. And so it's a good way to get your ads showing on other topic-specific websites that are relevant to your product or service. It's a good idea that when you're going to run a pay-per-click campaign to spend some time in the search engines having a look at the sponsored links section and comparing the different ads that you see here to one another to get an idea of what your competitors are doing, and to also get a sense of what you think a highly effective ad would be and what the not so good ads would be. And we're all consumers, so you want to think about what your target audience will think, feel, and do when they read these ads. Are they likely to click through to the website based on these advertisements? And it's important to understand what the goal of a pay-per-click ad is. Now, a lot of people think that the goal of a pay-per-click ad is to sell your product. And of course, you want to sell product, but the actual goal of a pay-per-click ad is not to sell the product directly, but to get people to click through to your website. Your website presumably contains your sales material, your sales language, and an offer that people can take advantage of. That's where you want to do your selling. It is not the job of a pay-per-click ad to do your selling for you. So when you write your ad, bear in mind that what you want them to do is to click through to your website. Now, some examples here of ads that are running. You can clearly see that they're trying to sell their product right from the ad. And that's just going to cost them more and more money, and it's going to decrease their results. You can say very little in an ad, so it's difficult to get a very strong value proposition and to have people to understand your product so clearly that they're just going to click through and buy your product. So focus instead on getting people to click through. The things that are going to get people to click through are, first of all, repeating the keyword phrase inside your ad, and then also highlighting benefits or giving them a reason to click through, telling them something that what they're going to learn, or solving some sort of a problem. As you can see, Google also helps us out by anytime we use the keyword phrase in our ads, they bold that keyword automatically. So that helps the ad to be even more visible. And you can see there are some people here that are using that to their advantage, where they're using the words improve golf swing in their ad and their headline, and that's making their ad stand out. And others just completely have no idea that that is helpful or useful and don't even have the keyword phrase in their ad at all. So there's a lot to be learned from looking at these ads, comparing them, but it's really important to know what the purpose of a pay-per-click ad is, and that is to get people to click through to your website and do your selling from your website, not your ads. That's going to save you money, and you're going to get more orders in the long run. Now, because this is a cost per click model and you're actually spending money here, it's extremely important to know what your budgets and your ad costs are and how to control them. So you want to set your maximum cost per click based on your break-even point. And with a new offer or a new campaign, you may not know what your break-even point is, so you have to kind of guess. And if you want to stay on the conservative side, what you want to assume is a conversion rate to sales of 0.5%. And 0.5% is 0.005 in mathematical terms. So if you take the revenue generated from your product and multiply it by 0.005, which is 0.5%, that's going to give you your break-even point. Now, it doesn't have to be 0.5%. You can assume 1% or 2%. Or if you know what your sales conversion rate is, you can plug in that actual number and you can calculate your break-even point. But this is just a helpful place to start for a new campaign where you have not established a conversion rate yet. So you take your revenue, which is the cost of your product, times the conversion rate, in this case 0.5%, that's going to give you your break-even rate. And then you can set your maximum daily budget to receive the maximum amount of targeted clicks, and your cost per click per visitor to your website is set to your break-even point or lower, which should help you to get to profitability that much faster. And then you can structure your campaign so that you're not just simply targeting a single ad to a long list of search terms, but you can organize those search terms and those ads into separate ad groups, and you can adjust your bids and your budget based on performance of individual keywords or groups of keywords that you're targeting. Now, here's some tips on how to measure your results to maximize your return on investment, keep your costs low, keep your profits as high as possible. And the first thing we recommend is that you use conversion tracking, which is a convenient feature built right into Google AdWords program that's going to allow you to keep track of your conversions into opt-in subscribers of your mailing list and buyers of your product. And not only does it keep track of those two or more action items, but it will attribute those back to specific keyword searches and to specific ads. So you can calculate the return on investment on a specific ad copy. If you're testing two different ads, you want to see which one does better. This is an extremely useful feature, and it's going to show you which keywords are more likely to turn into paying customers than others. And over time, you're going to be able to weed out the keywords and the search terms that do not perform as well, focus on the ones that do, and that's going to increase your overall results. You can also use Google Analytics for tracking conversions on the other networks, and they have a very convenient feature in there that will allow you to track different conversions, different goals that you have for your campaigns. And Google Analytics is a free program that you can install on your website. It's going to keep track of all sorts of statistics pertaining to the traffic and the visitors that come to your website. That, again, will help you to fine-tune your campaigns that much further. You want to track conversions for your opt-in subscribers so you know what your cost per conversion is for your opt-in subscribers to your mailing list or to your newsletter. That'll allow you to forecast and to monitor what your costs for building your mailing list are. But you also, and especially, want to track your conversions for sales. So you'll know what your customer acquisition cost is. And as long as your customer acquisition cost is lower than what you're charging for your product, you should be making money on your campaign. It also allows you to watch which keywords produce the most conversions. And like I said before, you can weed out the search terms and the keywords that are not performing as well so that you're not spending any money on traffic from those keywords and just focus on the ones that are getting you the best results, which allows you to fine-tune your campaign to, again, weed out those low performance keywords, just focus on the high performance keywords, and that's going to give you your highest return on investment. So we've talked a lot about pay-per-click and the pros and cons and the great benefits to an online sales campaign that can come from running a pay-per-click campaign. So it's time to get set up with your first campaign. And what we recommend here is start with the Google AdWords program. Like I said before, it's the easiest one to get set up. It's also going to get you your greatest amount of exposure. It costs a little bit more per click than the other ones because that's where you're going to find your greatest amount of competition. But the amount of search volume displayed in the Google search engine far outweighs any increase in cost attributed to the greater amount of competition. So it makes sense to start with Google AdWords and use that to test out your campaign, get it working, and then add the other networks once that campaign is performing to the level you want it to perform at. What you will need to get started is you will need, first of all, a list of target keywords and search terms that represent the best target audience, the people that are most likely to buy your product or service. You will need ad copy, a maximum of 70 characters. It's very similar to a classified advertisement in a newspaper. You have 70 characters to work with, so it's a very short ad. And again, I recommend going to Google, typing in your target keywords, looking at some of the ads, see what they're saying, and then craft your ad, or more than one ad. Google AdWords allows you to actually test different ads at once to get the highest performing one. So you'll need ad copy. You'll also need a landing page with an opt-in offer so that people can join your mailing list by entering their name and their email address. You'll also need a sales offer because if you want to have a return on investment, you must have a product or service to sell in order to recoup your advertising costs. Now there's different ways and different applications that you can use a pay-per-click campaign, but for a direct sales offer, you want to have an opt-in offer and a sales offer directly related to the keywords that you're targeting. Now that landing page may be your home page of your website, but you should have a look at that and just make sure that that page is designed to sell. And if that's not the best page to send traffic to, then either choose another page from your website or design one specifically for your pay-per-click campaign, one that's most likely to drive people to subscribing to your mailing list and buying your product. And lastly, you will need a credit card because after all, this is a pay-per-click or a cost-per-click advertising campaign, and the only way to pay is through a credit card or a direct debit of your account. And so Google AdWords will require a credit card to get started or your banking account information. And I'm going to leave you today with some specific do's and don'ts of pay-per-click advertising. And these suggestions are designed to help save you money and get the best performance from your advertising campaign. And they're based on our experience with our own pay-per-click campaigns and the pay-per-click campaigns of our best performing clients. And so here are some things that you want to make sure that you do. First thing is, keep your search terms highly targeted. You want to limit your list of search terms and keywords to words that represent people who are most likely going to buy your product or service. The more broad or general you get with your keywords, you might get more traffic, but they're not necessarily going to convert into more sales. So they will ultimately just cost you money. You also want to make sure you use proper use of the various match types. Remember, we talked about those. They're the broad match, the phrase match, the exact match, and the negative match. And by using those in the proper way and experimenting and tracking your results with those, you're going to be able to fine-tune your campaign. You also want to make sure you're using a budget cap to control your costs. So make sure you set an appropriate daily budget that's going to keep your advertising costs within whatever your monthly budget is allocated for your pay-per-click campaign, and stay within that. And you also want to adjust your cost per click on your keywords and your ads to stay within that and to get you an appropriate amount of traffic to your website. You want to use conversion tracking so that you can measure and calculate your ROI, or your return on investment, on your keywords and on your ad spend on specific ads that you're running within the networks, so that you can use that data to further fine-tune your campaign. And you want to monitor your campaign regularly. And the recommendation is that you do it daily or at the very least weekly. You don't want to accidentally start a campaign like this and then accidentally leave it or forget to check it again, because know that it's going to be costing you money. So you're running a paid advertising campaign. You want to monitor it daily or at least weekly. And on the don't side, you want to make sure you avoid the following. First of all, you want to avoid setting your campaign to spend an unlimited budget. So always use your budgets to restrict your spending. That's going to keep your costs within control. You don't want to put your campaign on autopilot. This is something, again, that needs to be monitored daily or at least weekly so that you can be tracking your results, calculating your ROI, and continually fine-tuning to make sure that your costs are less than the revenue that you are generating. Also, don't bid on generic or broad terms unless you have proof that they will convert into either opt-in subscribers to your mailing list or buyers of your product. Don't try to sell in your ad. Remember, the purpose of an ad is to get people to click through to your website and let your website do the selling. And finally, don't do anything that violates the search engine's advertising guidelines, especially Google. They'll offer you a little bit of forgiveness in the beginning, but if you continue to break their guidelines or write ads that blatantly violate their terms and conditions of their advertising program, they will shut off your account for life, and there is no coming back from that. So it's a good idea to spend some time reading the guidelines, get familiar with the terms and conditions and the advertising guidelines for each of the advertising networks. So that concludes our webinar today. I want to thank you very much for joining me.